Welcome friends, welcome back to the kitchen. Today out on the Yoder smoker I have a brown sugar rubbed chicken that I'm smoking. And so to go with that I want to do a potato side dish. And so I want to make a smoky potato gratin or scalloped potato dish to go along with the chicken. And we're going to cook that in the smoker at the same time along with the chicken. We're actually going to cook it underneath the chicken so the chicken drips down on top of this dish. So we'll get the smoke, we'll get the chicken flavor. It should be really good. So I'm going to start out by slicing these potatoes super thin. I'm going to do them about a 1/16 of an inch. And as soon as you get to a point where you're uncomfortable, or if you are uncomfortable right from the beginning using Mandoline, use the guard. I usually get down just a little bit farther before I switch to the guard. And I've got this cast iron frying pan that's heating up, and that is the frying pan that we're going to use in the smoker. And so I'm heating that up, and I'm going to fry off this bacon. So as soon as that's warm, which it is, I'm going to put the bacon in, and we're going to fry it and render out the fat, get the bacon almost crisp. And because I'm trying to render out the fat, I don't want the temperature on this frying pan to be too high off the start. I'm kind of going with a medium low. Bring it up slowly. And we'll keep slicing these potatoes. So I'm using an Idaho potato or a baking potato. Some people would call it a dry potato or a starchy potato. I'm using a potato that's going to give a very creamy texture to the finished dish. So I'm going to put these into a bowl where we're going to mix everything. I've already chopped up a jalapeno pepper, and I'm going to put that in. Leave the seeds in, take the seeds out. Really, it's up to you. I've got a couple of small onions that I've chopped up, and the amount of onion that you add in, again, up to you. More onions if you like more onions, less if you don't like them. You could also put in leeks, work really well in this dish. Garlic, if you want to put garlic in, go ahead and put garlic in. You can really play with the flavors on this one. As long as it's mostly potato, you can add almost anything you want in here. Okay, it looks like the bacon is done. So I'm going to use a slotted spoon, and I'm going to pull the bacon out of the pan. We want to leave the fat in the bottom of the pan because we're going to make a roux. And don't panic, making a roux is super simple. So as we get the bacon out of the pan, you need to assess how much fat is left. We're looking for about 3 to 4 tablespoons of fat because we're going to add in about 3 tablespoons of flour. So I don't think we've got enough fat left in the bottom. So we can top that up with a little bit of butter, and we'll just melt that in. Now once the butter has melted in, we'll add the flour. And we stir the flour in, and you want to cook the flour until it starts to change color. It's going to start to go brown, and the browner it gets, the more flavor you add, the depth of flavor you add. And some people, because this is going to be a white dish, or you want a white color to this dish, they're not going to cook it too far. They're not going to add too much flavor. They're not going to make it too brown because that would change the color of the dish. At the same time, because I'm going to cook this on the barbecue or on the smoker, I think that color will be fine, and the added flavor is fantastic. So we just keep cooking this down and stir it. Don't let it burn. And at the same time, you can start pulling up some of the fond from the bacon that's on the bottom of the pan. Now, I'm going to switch to a whisk, and I'm going to slowly add in a little bit of milk and whisk that in. And I've got this on a fairly low heat at this point. You don't want it to burn. So I think I've got enough milk in there. Now I'm going to add whipping cream. This is 35% cream. And I'm going to put in about 2 cups. It's thick. That cream is thick. We'll just whisk this in until we've got a nice smooth sauce. The sauce is coming together really well. So I'm going to add a little bit of black pepper. And it's best to add the cracked black pepper into the sauce. That's way it mixes into the whole thing a little bit easier. And you have to be careful with your salt because there's bacon in it. So depending on how salty your bacon is, you need to adjust the amount of salt that you add. I'm going to add just a little bit more than a pinch, maybe 2 pinches. So mix that into the sauce. I'm going to move on to the cheese. Now I am using pizza mozzarella, which isn't mozzarella at all, but it is a really nice melty cheese. And it's not the kind of cheese that adds a lot of flavor, but it melts really well and it's gooey, and it's going to make the interior of this dish really unctuous and wonderful. But you could use any sort of really melty cheese. You could use Colby, Monterey Jack, Wisconsin Brick would be amazing in this. Pizza mozzarella is something that's easy for me to get. Now, I was going to grate it, but it doesn't grate so well, or at least hand grater, it doesn't grate so well. So I'm going to cut it into little chunks and add it in. The flavor cheese is going to be Parmesan, although I might use Pecorino. I don't know. We'll see what comes out of the fridge. Okay, so put the cheese into the bowl with the potatoes, the bacon, onion, and jalapeno peppers. And we're going to give this a good mix. Okay, I think I'm going to need a bigger bowl to finish mixing this, so let me get one. Let's see. Let's do this one. Now, I like to mix the white sauce and the potatoes and everything together in a big bowl like this, and then put it back into the pan for cooking, because then you get the coating all over every bit of the potato. I find that when I just layer in and then pour the sauce or the bechamel or the white sauce over top, I don't get a good coating, and I get spots where there is no sauce. And I really like to have the sauce everywhere. So put this in, get as much of the sauce out of the bottom of the pan as we can, and then give it a really good mix. Give it a good stir. Get the sauce everywhere. This is all to the point where if you think your sauce is too thick, you could add a little bit more milk to thin it out. I think I might need to, but I'm going to put it in the pan first and see. So we'll dump this back into the pan. Get it all back in there. And get it distributed around in the pan. I'm going to add just a little bit more milk. Not too much. You could add water. You could add chicken stock if you wanted to. You don't want it too dry, because it will dry out on the barbecue or in the smoker or in the oven. If you're doing it at home in the oven, any way you're cooking it, it will dry out a little bit, and you don't want that to happen too much. So I'm going to grate in some hard cheese. This is Pecorino. You could use Parmesan. You could use any hard aged cheese that's really flavorful that you like. This is going to add that top layer of flavor that's just going to push the dish over the edge. And out to the smoker. Okay, out at the smoker, it's set at 350 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm going to sit this right under the chicken. Let the chicken drip down on top of it as it cooks. We'll leave that for about an hour before we look at it again.
Hi friends, I am just waiting for Glen to come in from the pellet grill. And here he comes. Woo!
Look at that.
That looks pretty good.
It does look pretty good. Okay, so the pan is hot.
Okay.
The pan is hot.
Suggest the potatoes are also hot.
So the potatoes will be hot, they'll be gooey, and oh, that looks amazing.
Ooh, definitely hot.
Do I get a bowl?
Oh, oops, no.
Okay.
You'll have to share.
I will share. So this is a pretty simple scalloped potato recipe. A little bit of a roux that you mix up. I used pizza mozzarella as a melty cheese for the middle, and then parm on top. There's bacon, there's onion.
It's got all the parts,
Some
right?
jalapeno pepper, and it's hot. Just a hint of smoke. Like, it's not too smoky, because the pellet grill was running pretty hot, so that we had a fairly crisp skin on the chicken.
But it's just something that's just a little bit not the same as the other versions that you have of it.
Yeah, so this
It's
is
not huge. It's not a huge flavor. It's just like, that's just a little bit different.
this is
It's lovely.
not the scalloped potatoes that drop down on every family Easter table that I've ever sat down to. There's just a little bit. I love those scalloped potatoes. This is just a little bit different. This brings a hint of you're outside and you're cooking on the grill. Now, you could cook this in the oven. Definitely, you could cook this on a gas grill if you wanted to. You might miss some of that smoky flavor. Not that it's pronounced, it's just a hint. I think this is a really good dish, and it's going to go excellent with that chicken we just cooked. So come on back for the chicken, and if you haven't, also check out this cauliflower side dish that we did for our dinner tonight. Thanks for stopping by. See you again soon.
I burnt the back of my tongue.